has evolved to become a God and that he's a finite man. The God that Mormons worship, Dave, is not infinite. He is not eternal. They believe that God is a finite man who is God only over planet Earth. Because Mormons believe there are millions of other gods scattered throughout the universe, populating their own planets in the galaxies with their mother gods. And every male Mormon believes that he can become a god himself.
In fact, they teach what is, I guess, the oldest heresy in the Bible, the one that Satan whispered in the ear of Eve, that you can become like God.
I recently had 3 Mormon missionaries in my home, and we were talking, and I said to them, I said, do you know the doctrine that you can become a god is in the Bible? And they said, it is? I said, yeah, it's in the Bible. And we turned to Genesis chapter 3, verses 4 and 5. And there it says, the serpent said to Adam and Eve, eat of the fruit. You can become God yourself. And sadly, the same lie that got Adam and Eve cast out of the Garden of Eden is the same lie that is going to keep Mormons out of heaven. And this is why they are the mission field at our front doorstep. And we need to weep and we need to cry for friends and neighbors who are Mormons because they have been led astray by a false prophet.
One of the things that people often hear about the Mormon Church is that they are often involved in genealogical research to find relatives that they didn't know about so that they could be baptized for them because they believe in baptism for the dead. Is that correct?
Right. Mormons built temples, and there are now 100 temples around the world. And they build them in order to do secret rituals called their endowments or ordinances. And probably 90% of what takes place in a Mormon temple is what is called baptisms for the dead.
Oh my. Where
Mormons believe that they can save the dead people in the graves by being baptized for them and earning their salvation by proxy into the Mormon heaven. Oh Jesus is not going to save them. They believe that they become the saviors of the dead people.
Right.
And this is why the Mormons spend millions of dollars keeping their genealogies so that they might be the saviors of the dead people.
Quite often when you begin to dissect the cults and criticize them, they will respond, as the Mormons often do and as Masons often do. They start talking about, well, our organization, so much of it is secret, and we have all these secret things, and nobody really knows these, and nobody understands them, and you could never really understand Mormonism unless you are into all the secrets. Is there really that much secret about Mormonism?
Not any longer. You know, we have seen literally thousands of people come out of Mormonism and find Christ, former leaders of Mormonism, and they have revealed the inner workings of what goes on in the temple, what goes on in their teachings. And so today there's no excuse for anyone. They claim that those secret rituals that take place in the Mormon temple, those secret rituals, Joseph Smith, the founder, stole verbatim, word for word, right out of Freemasonry, the Masonic Lodge.
Yes.
And most Mormons aren't even aware of this. And they go through a series of rituals, very much like in Freemasonry, of secret handshakes, secret passwords, believing that this will gain them entrance into heaven.
You know, it just occurred to me that the co-author of your great book here called Fast Facts on False Teachings is Ed Decker.
Yeah.
And Ed was a real high muckety-muck in the Mormon church.
He was a leader of the Mormon church, involved in leadership for 25 years, was married in the Mormon temple. His 5 kids went on Mormon missions. So God saved him out of Mormonism.
So if anybody knows the secrets of the Mormon church, he knows them.
And we have seen literally tens of thousands of Mormons come out of Mormonism. And one of the great things is that Mormonism today in America is almost at zero growth.
I didn't know that.
Last year, 100% of their growth took place outside the United States, largely in Roman Catholic countries, half of it in the Philippines, half of it in South America, because people in America are becoming aware that they teach a false God. They teach a Christ who is not the Christ of the Bible. They're teaching a false salvation. And Mormons are very reachable with the gospel, but what they need is good information.
Yes.
Why they should come out. And this is one of the reasons Ed and I wrote this book, to give them the information, how they can know the real Jesus Christ.
Tell us about the origin of the Mormons. I understand they emerged from in upstate New York in about 1820, that area, but tell us something about the origins.
Joseph Smith was the founder of Mormonism. As a teenage boy, he said he went out into the woods to pray for the first time in his life, and he says he received a revelation from a messenger of light. And this is found in one of their books called The Pearl of Great Price, in the book Joseph Smith, chapter 2. And Joseph Smith said that this messenger of light told him that all the Christian churches were wrong, that all the teachings of Christianity were an abomination, and that he be a prophet of God himself. And what we find is that this angel of light told him that buried near his home in Palmyra, New York, were some golden plates. And as a teenager, he said he went on, dug up these golden plates, and there were written Reformed Egyptian hieroglyphics.
And written in perfect King James English, right?
Well, he says he then put magic seer stones that he had used for divine hidden treasure. He put them into a top hat. He says he put his face into the top hat, looked through the magic stones, and translated the supposed Reformed Egyptian hieroglyphics into the Book of Mormon. Well, what's so interesting about it is much of the Book of Mormon is taken verbatim, word for word, as you say, right out of the King James Bible. And people say, well, what's so interesting about that? Well, Mormons claim Joseph Smith was an ignorant farm boy.
Yeah.
You know, what was he doing translating this supposed Reformed Egyptian hieroglyphics into perfect King James English in the 19th century? And David becomes even more interesting when you understand the Book of Mormon was supposedly written down 1,000 years before King James English ever came to existence. And Mormons claim that this Book of Mormon that they want you to read is actually a real history of North and South America. And in the Book of Mormon, they claim that the American Indians are the lost tribes of Israel, that the American Indians are Jews who floated across the Atlantic on ships like the Kon-Tiki raft and settled here in the Western Hemisphere. Now, they have real problems because I have challenged Mormons, and if there are any Mormons listening to this, Mormons claim that this is a real history of North and South America, describing the Indian civilizations of the Nephites and the Lamanites, describing their cities and civilizations. And I have told Mormons for 30 years that if you can show me a map of anything found in the Book of Mormon, I'll become a Mormon. And you should see when I tell Mormon missionaries that, they get so excited they go running back to their bishop, hey, Carlson's going to become a Mormon. Most of these young Mormon missionaries don't even realize there's no map.
Right.
And yet they want you to believe it's the inspired Word of God.
Is there any historical or archaeological evidence that has been found thus far to substantiate the histories in this book?
Yeah, not at all. In fact, the Book of Mormon has proven to be a historical, archaeological, and geographical fraud. The Mormon Church refuses to produce a map of anything found in the Book of Mormon because there is no evidence. And yet they want you to believe it's a true history of North and South America.
And what a contrast to the Bible, where every time they turn over a spade of dirt in Israel, they're finding evidence that the Bible is true history.
Well, that's what I tell people. You know, if the Bible is the inspired Word of God, we would expect it to be historically, archaeologically, and geographically accurate. I spent a year studying archaeology and history at Jerusalem University College in Israel. And the Bible has proven so historically accurate that Israeli archaeologists now use it to find archaeological sites.
I often say that archaeologists must be the most frustrated guys on planet Earth, because most of them are non-believers, the vast majority of them, and they're trying to prove the Bible wrong, yet every time they turn over a spade of dirt, there's more evidence that the Bible really is accurate.
Absolutely. You know, and the Bible, you know, you can go to Jerusalem, you can go to Bethlehem and Nazareth, the Sea of Galilee, down the Jordan River, it's all there, everything. And yet you come to the Book of Mormon, which is supposedly a much more recent history, which they call another testament of Jesus Christ. We have absolutely nothing.
Okay, along that line, I understand that the Mormon Church has recently really been shaken to its foundations by DNA evidence. What is this all about?
Yeah, Dave, the entire basis for the truth of Mormonism is that the Book of Mormon is a true history that Israelites floated across the Atlantic, turned into the American Indians, and that's the whole basis for the truth.